Hello, athletes. Welcome and thank you for tuning into the Coach Katie Danger podcast, recorded live from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm your host, Coach Katie Danger, U.S. Army veteran, fitness coach, and founder of Red H Nutrition. Here's a fact for you. 99% of us are not elite athletes. We're individuals from all backgrounds, juggling life's priorities, including jobs, our families, their needs, and trying to find time to take care of ourselves. Every single week when you tune in, I'll be discussing clear, concise, and actionable strategies you can use to get the most from your fitness, nutrition, and mindset so you can optimize your life without compromising your time. So athletes, settle in and get comfortable. I'm here to educate, inspire, empower, and entertain you to help you enjoy the unique fitness journey that you are on. Hey, athletes, what is up? It is Coach Katie Danger, and you are joining me for episode number 83 of the Coach Katie Danger podcast. And this week I've got a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and it is called How Do Muscles Grow? How do muscles grow? It's really not as complicated as you think. And what I'm going to try to do today here is discuss the mechanisms of how muscles grow. And then for all my ladies out there, I want you to know why strength training is super important and why you're not going to wake up after lifting one day and looking like Hulk. So this is to answer some questions about what mechanisms help muscle grow, maybe some supplements you can add in there, and then why you won't be gaining large amounts of muscle unless you have some sort of help. But before I dive into the meat of the podcast, so triathlon training is picking up, and I just want to tell you a little bit about what's been going on with me and what I'm training for. Swim, bike, run, and then of course strength training. It makes up almost all of my entire day. So luckily, I've got a couple employees. They do most of the tasks that I used to have to do myself. So with freeing up some of that time, really has allowed me to focus a lot on training and training well. So when I did CrossFit, it feels like training is a little different this time because I've learned a lot more. So when I trained in CrossFit, I wouldn't necessarily say I had a periodized training program that had cycles involved. So like microcycles, macrocycles, mesocycles, all of those components of a periodized structured training program where you start at one point so you can end up at another point. Now what I've done, and I know that I've done this, I'm not throwing this out there to brag, but I just think at the time I was naturally gifted enough and the competition wasn't good enough that I was able to stand out in I was a big fish in a small pond, so to speak. And I'm not trying to take anything away from myself because having physical gifts has still helped me up to this point in terms of my athletic desires, progress, whatever. But with CrossFit, I just really didn't ever start with the end in mind. So when you're putting on a training program, you've got a goal. You're like, well, where am I and where do I want to go? And you're always heavily focused on where you want to go, right? The end. It's really important to know what the end looks like, though. You have to know what the end is in order to get there, to set goals, to measure progress. If you haven't already, check out episode number 82, and it's talking about goal setting in 2021, which could be very, very helpful for you setting goals for next year, and then just kind of assessing where you are anyways. But what I'm getting at here is starting with the end in mind, and that is what I'm doing differently. I'm looking at where I want to be. I have set metric goals, what I want to swim, what I want to bike, what I want to run, because the half Ironman is a swim, bike, run event. It's a 1.2 mile swim, a 56 mile bike, and a 13.1 run. So a half marathon after you bike 56 miles. So it does take training, right? You can't just be fit enough. Even if I had just got done with the height and peak of being a CrossFitter in that fitness, there is just a different level of fitness needed. And I've noticed that. And I suppose that my CrossFit experience has helped me realize that there are some deficiencies in the way I've trained in the past. So I'm not going to make the same mistakes I did before. I have a coach. I have a periodized progressive training program that incorporates testing phases. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm at the testing phase. This week was testing. And I was excited and nervous at the same time. Now, when I tested the first time, this was 8 weeks ago. And I wouldn't say I was out of shape, but I wasn't triathlon shape. I've done a few triathlons since 8 weeks. I did one 8 weeks ago and then maybe 6 weeks ago now. And I was humbled. I was humbled because I realized I am not, my ability level as a triathlete at 36 years old just wasn't where I thought it would be. I did not finish and do as well as I thought. So I was humbled. I'm like, man, I got a lot of things I need to work on. So after I got real with myself and decided that I wasn't just going to wallow in my disappointment with my physical capacity at the time, got a coach, got a training program, rolling with it, doing the work. As far as compliance, if 100% is hitting all my days, I would say 85 to 90% of my workout days I hit over the past 8 weeks, which I think is great. I mean, running my own business, other things in life, 85 to 90%, that's pretty good. I mean, I always aim for 80-20 with most of the things I do, but 85, 90, I'll take it. So I was very compliant. So I knew that these tests were going to be I knew I was going to improve a lot because my fitness just wasn't the same. And just simply by doing the work, you're going to get more fit, which foreshadowing, we'll talk about a little bit here in the physiology of muscle growth itself when we talk about how muscles grow. But back to the triathlon, just doing the work, you're going to get more fit. So I knew I'd be more fit. My numbers went from, they just increased. I don't need to get in the details. I'm a faster swimmer. I'm a more efficient swimmer. And I'm a more powerful biker. And I'm a faster runner. So my paces went up, right? I am more fit than I was before in terms of the metrics of what makes a triathlete. And one thing that I have attributed to my success is strength training. If you know a little bit about me, triathlons were my first love, my first entrance into competitive fitness. For example, I found CrossFit because I was frustrated with how much time I had to put in triathlon training when I was in college. So I found CrossFit Endurance, and they used the high intensity interval training principles and applied them to swim, bike, and run. And I found CrossFit and I started lifting and, drank that old Kool-Aid, and the rest is history. So now that I'm back at triathlon, I'm still remembering those principles. But at the same time, I really just forgot what my train of thought was there. The point is, strength training. So strength training, very, very important. I'm just not going to throw that out the window because I know it is super, super important to get your strength training. And I did not do that as a triathlete 10, 12, 13 years ago when I first got into this competitive sport or just sport in general. So strength training twice a week. I know that's why some of my swim has gotten better. I know that's why when I tested my bike, I was far more powerful than I was before. So it was really, really great. Strength training, do not ever discount strength training. And this is going to lead us right into what you want to know about how do muscles grow. I do not want you to ever think that you should not strength train. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how old you are. I believe it is my core philosophy as a human, speaking to you as a fitness coach and knowing what I know, is that if done appropriately, keyword appropriately, strength training is great for any human being on earth. Now, of course, there's different goals, there's different body types. People respond to adaptations quicker, slower. I get all that. But at the end of the day, strength training is so important for anybody. Even if you can find a way to fit strength training in when you're ill or maybe dealing with a chronic illness, it's still important to stay strong. So I highly encourage everybody to be and prioritize strength in their life. It's very, very important. I think did Greg Glassman say this, or another one of the first-time CrossFit guys, like old school CrossFit, said strong people are harder to kill. Might have been Mark Ripito too, starting strength guy. Whoever said it, it is so true. Strong people are harder to kill. If you're strong, you're more resilient. If you're strong, you can take a beating. And that includes mental and emotional and physical pain as well. So strong people are hard to kill. I really promote strength training. And that's why I really love the podcast we're talking about today. So if you're a typical human being, you go to the gym, you probably have one or two goals and they probably overlap. I ask this to all the people I start out with my clients. I say, hey, what's your number one goal? And they say, well, I want to build muscle and I want to lose fat. And I'm like, well, welcome to everybody else on earth, right? So you want to burn fat and you want to build muscle. A lot of coaches out there, they either say you got to focus, and you have to take your focus kind of specific, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if someone wants to build muscle or lose weight. They're going to be doing strength training. Okay. Strength training is that important. Now there's different types of muscles, right? Like we have cardiac muscles, and then we have the muscles we think of when we lift weights. Okay. Our biceps, our triceps. Those are the things that we're trying to influence in terms of how can we get stronger. And then if you want to build muscle and actually grow, hypertrophy. Now, when you lift weights, there is an adaptation that will occur. So there are 650 skeletal muscles in the human body, and they contract when they receive signals from motor neurons, which are triggered from a part of the cell called the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Go back to high school biology. Motor neurons tell your muscles to contract, and then the better you become at having those signals to tell your muscles to contract, the stronger you're going to get. This is where repetition and time in the weight room comes into play. Now, when someone like a power lifter is able to lift very heavy weight despite not looking very muscular, it's because they have an ability to activate motor neurons and contract their muscles better. You don't necessarily need to be bigger to be stronger. So That's why some powerlifters are comparatively smaller than bodybuilders, but they're still stronger. So remember, like, size doesn't necessarily matter. Motor unit recruitment, it also helps to explain why after a lot of practice, certain movements become easier to perform, and then those initial strength gains start to come. So as you do things, they become easier. Imagine that. All right, so here's like the first topic that we're going to hit hard is the physiology. It actually goes on in your body after you work out. After you get done working out, after you get done lifting, rowing, biking, swimming, running, whatever, your body is working to repair and replace that damaged muscle fiber. And it's done through a cellular process where it fuses muscle fibers together and it forms new muscle protein strands or myofibrils. So just be prepared. There is a little bit of biology here that I'm going to be talking about, but I still think it's really important. Now, these repaired myofibrils, they increase in thickness and number to create hypertrophy, so growth, right? Now, this adaptation, it doesn't actually happen when you lift weights, though. It happens after you're done working out when you rest. So that's another reason why there's lots of things like muscles are built in the kitchen. Muscles are built during recovery, and recovery includes your nutrition, it includes your rest, it includes your sleep. So then how do you actually add muscle to your muscle cells? So this is where we start to talk about satellite cells. And they act like stem cells for your muscles. So when you activate your satellite cells, they start communicating with your body, with your nervous system, like, hey, we got to go between here and we got to repair here and we got to go here. So that's why, you have the stressor, you have the stimulus, satellite cells wake up and they go, oh my gosh, okay. So then they rush to wherever they need to go. And that's where that protein synthesis starts to occur. Now, there are people who are genetic freaks, and there's also people, and on both ends of the spectrum, they build muscle quicker or they're really hard gainers. They don't build muscle as well. And this really has to do with satellite cells. There are some people out there who are non-responders, and they actually can have 0% growth. Now, this probably isn't anybody listening to this podcast, so don't worry about it. But generally, people are modest responders, and that means there's 28% activation in terms of out of 100%, 28% activation or growth. Hey, I know and you know that I talk a lot about using supplements on your fitness journey and reaching your full potential. How I believe they're integral pieces of the puzzle to reaching your best self and best fitness results. But do you know how supplements fit into your plan? Do you know what to take for your goals and how much of a supplement you should take? If you've ever had any of those questions and you want to know how supplements can work for you and your goals, go to yourfitnesssupplements.com and take the free 3-point personalized supplement assessment. And with just a few questions, you'll have a complete personalized supplement recommendation in less than 60 seconds. You'll know more about how supplements fit into your fitness goals, what's safe, and what's effective and perfect for you. So type in yourfitnesssupplements.com in your internet browser, take the free assessment, and get on the fast track to your best fitness results. Now, there's 3 mechanisms that make muscles grow. So there's muscle tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress. Muscle tension, in order to produce muscle growth, you have to apply a load of stress that is greater than what your body has previously adapted to. And you do this with a progressive periodized training program. That additional tension, it helps the muscle call on more satellite cells for activation. And then that muscle tension dramatically affects the connection of the motor units of the muscle cells together. So with these 2 factors, it helps explain why some people can become stronger, but not as bigger as some other people. Then there's muscle damage. So if you've ever had that delayed onset muscle soreness, you know what it feels like to have damage after working out. And this is local muscle damage, and it causes a release of inflammatory molecules and immune system cells that activate the satellite cells to jump into action. So this is another thing that the satellite cells, I don't know where they're hanging out, but when they get that message, it's like the bat signal up in the sky, right? They're like, okay, we're on it. I hear you. I see you. I feel you. So it doesn't mean that you need to feel sore in order for this to happen, but instead the damage from the workout has to be present in your muscle cells. So typically soreness can be diminished over time, especially as you get more acclimated to the gym. So don't think that you have to necessarily be sore for those satellite cells to be doing what they need to be doing behind the scenes. Soreness is just kind of that, like, I don't know what it is. It's not a placebo effect because it's true. At the same time, sometimes we think we need to be more sore to get a better workout. Not the case, not the case. And the last thing is metabolic stress. So if you've ever had the burn or the exercise or the pump after you get out of the gym, do some bicep curls, you look at your bicep, you're pumped, right? That's when you've had the effects of metabolic stress. So scientists are using this term to question, whether bodybuilders, when they said the pump causes their muscles to become larger. And it seems like after the scientists look into what the bros were saying, they were onto something. So here's what happens. Metabolic stress causes cell swelling around the muscle. It helps to contribute to muscle growth, but not necessarily increasing the size of the muscle cells. So this is from the addition of muscle glycogen, which helps the muscle to swell up along with the connective tissue growth. So this type of growth is known as sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. And it's one of the ways that people can get the appearance of larger muscles without increases in strength, aka bodybuilders. So now that you know that the three main mechanisms of muscle growth are tension, actually lifting heavier day to day, week to week, month to month, muscle damage. You don't necessarily need to be sore in order to have the satellite cell activation. And then metabolic stress. Metabolic stress, that's when they're swelling around the muscle and it helps contribute to muscle growth through the addition of muscle glycogen. Now there's hormones, and this is ladies where I want you to pay attention. So hormones are another component that are largely responsible for muscle growth factor and repair. IGF-1, insulin growth factor 1, and testosterone are the two most vital mechanisms that promote muscle growth. So testosterone is the main hormone that people think about when they think about lifting weights. And testosterone does increase protein synthesis. It inhibits protein breakdown. So not only are you building more muscle, but you're breaking down less. It activates satellite cells, and then it stimulates other anabolic or muscle building hormones. And although most testosterone is bound in the body, so it is not free, 2%, so out of 100%, only 2% of testosterone is free and in the body and available and usable. But here's the deal. If you strength training shows through scientific study and analysis, observation, strength training increases the amount of free testosterone in the body. So if you have more testosterone, you can stimulate muscle growth hormone and increase the presence of those neurotransmitters at the damaged fiber site. So when those satellite cells come in, they work on hyperdrive, activating protein synthesis, repairing, rebuilding your muscle tissue. Now, here's why muscles need rest to grow. If you do not provide your body with adequate rest or nutrition, if you're one of those dudes who thinks that it's more noble to rest when you're dead, you're wrong. You're wrong. And you can reverse the anabolic process by not resting. So you can actually continue to break down your muscle tissue no matter how much time you spend in the gym if you don't rest. So the response of muscle protein metabolism to resistant exercise lasts for about 24 to 48 hours. So that means the interaction between protein metabolism and any meals consumed in that 24 to 48 hours will impact the diet of muscle hypertrophy. So eat well 80% of the time, 20% of the time. That doesn't mean you get to be an idiot about it. Just means maybe you get to enjoy some of the finer things in life. Here's another thing. So if you're going lifting weights and you're like, oh, I don't want to get too big and bulky, something typical that most ladies who enter the strength training realm will often say, well, I just want to get toned. I don't want to get bulky. You ain't going to get bulky. I'm going to say it flat out right now. You're not going to get bulky unless you start injecting steroids into your body. It just will not happen, okay? That takes a long time and a lot of work. Rapid muscle growth is unlikely for the majority of people. Now, you have genetic freaks and you have people on the other end who just don't necessarily eat or just don't necessarily gain muscle very well. But I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the majority of individuals who are not taking anabolic steroids, who may or may not be taking like an over-the-counter testosterone boosting supplement, like a natural herbal remedy, horny goat weed, fenugreek extract. God, there's lots of them out there. Herbalife Nutrition has H-Drive. So what you need to realize is strength training is like the secret. It is the magic pill, so to speak, for freeing up testosterone in your body, for promoting hypertrophy and muscle growth, for not necessarily putting on size, but strength, okay? There's lots of other things you can do to promote size, but if you're just like, I want to get strong for sport, or I just want to get strong for life, you got to lift weights, and you got to do it in a way that is progressive, periodized, that has muscle tension involved, increasing in weight day to day, week to week. You get that. Metabolic stress. So we got to be lifting to a point where like, hey, there's that burn. And then there will be muscle damage, and you may feel that muscle damage, delayed onset muscle soreness. And you're probably not going to grow muscles overnight unless you're taking steroids. And last but not least, you need rest for your muscles to grow. You need to eat well and you need rest. I would say of the two components, rest is probably what we do the least of. Rest is probably where most people could make the biggest gains if they just went to bed like 30 minutes earlier, if they just had a little better sleep hygiene. I don't think it's nutrition. I think it's easy to get. Nutrition is a lot easier to get than sleep is easy to get. for lots of different reasons. Not going to go into that on the podcast, but sleep affects people. Lack of sleep or trouble sleeping comes from many different realms that this podcast generally doesn't cover. So if you're looking for a way and you think you've got nutrition dialed in and you're hitting the gym and maybe you're at a plateau, look at what your rest and recovery is like. Are you one of those people who's like, I got to work out 7 days a week or else you feel like crap? You're probably going to continue to feel like crap. In fact, you might feel like crap because you work out 7 days a week. It is okay to take a rest day. I mean, God rested on the seventh day. Why can't we, right? Rest days are like a religion. They really should be like a religion. You should respect them. You should honor them, and you should schedule them in and make sure you hold yourself accountable to attend your rest days. So here's the conclusion of this entire podcast. And then I want to invite you to something. For muscle breakdown and growth to occur, you must force your muscles to adapt. You got to create stress that is different than the previous threshold you'd already adapted to. You can do this by lifting heavier weights, changing your exercises, or trying a different sport. There's lots of different ways to adapt, but generally you have to go, what was I doing? How can I add a greater stimulus to what I've already done? That's the question you have to ask yourself. After the workout is completed, the most important part begins with adequate rest and ample fuel in that 24 to 48 hour time frame, like I mentioned. Now, if you're looking for a strength training program, it's like, okay, cool, Coach Katie, I got you. I understand. What kind of program can I do? Do you have one? And I do. And I have all of my programs available to my full Send 30 fitness coaching members. It is a group coaching program. And what I'm doing with that, I'm going to pull up the page here so I can give it the adequate homage it deserves. But as far as what I'm doing with the Full Send Fitness Coaching Group, I used to have a free Facebook group, and it really just got watered down. I wasn't really doing anything well with it. So I wanted to focus on the people who were truly interested in bettering themselves. And I made a monthly membership site. It's $9 a month. And it's like having a coach in your back pocket to help you lose weight, get strong, feel great, have the motivation. And it's a group coaching supportive environment. So if you're a person who knows and understands that the company you keep is important, it's a place for you. And you can sign up at any time. It's $9 a month. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a daily challenge workout. Every single month we have a daily challenge. I ain't going to tell you what this month's is because then you probably wouldn't join. So I don't give any of this stuff to just anybody. You got to be part of my membership group. Monthly challenge every single month. And then you get access to all of my coaching programs, all of my strength training programs, including my nutrition programs. Leg day. It's brutal and it's awesome. And it's leg day 3 times a week. Progressive, periodized. It has those adaptations built in. So you do get stronger and you get bigger. The 50-60 training method. It's a total body workout program for massive muscle and strength. And I put together the 3 very specific ways of lifting. So on top of knowing how muscles grow, then I break it down even more. So we look into rest between sets. We look at how many reps you should do, and then muscle time under tension. So that's available to you. I have Dumbbell Hero. I have a ladies 4-week lower body strength program, a 6-week functional bodybuilding program, body weight muscles. So if you don't have any weights around, you can still get a great body weight workout in to stimulate and adapt your body in a different way. So if you want access to all of those, that's the how. I gave you the what. Right now we know how muscles grow. So you have the what. But if you're looking for the how, that's where my Full Send Fitness Coaching Group comes in. And all you got to do is go to my website, CoachKatieDanger.com. You'll see join my challenge group, get in, you'll get in the Facebook group, and you'll get access to my entire library collection of fitness coaching programs, nutrition guides. You get me in a group. You can ask me questions. Now, it is not a one-on-one coaching program, so I'm not going to write a specific coaching program for you. That is a different opportunity we could discuss. But if you're looking for something to help you get started, try something new, or just find a different way to do strength training and adapt, this is for you. Full Send Fitness Coaching. Go to my website, CoachKatieDanger.com. Click on the tab that says Join My Challenge. I would love to have you there. And any new program that it comes out, it's also available to you, the very first people to get access to it. So let me know if you guys have any questions on that. You can always send me an email with anything, Katie@CoachKatieDanger.com. But I'm really, really a proponent of strength training for any age, any condition, anybody. Like, strength training is so important. And if you are an endurance athlete specifically listening to this and you are neglecting your strength training, you will pay for it, and not in a good way. It will catch up to you. Your body will break down. All of the grounding and pounding that you do with your legs and on your bike and swim, you need to make sure that your muscles are prepared and strong. So that's what I highly recommend for you. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you guys have any questions, let me know. You can always reach me, Katie at CoachKatieDanger.com. In the meantime, make sure you hit the gym and lift weights a couple times a week, no matter who you are. I also want to end this, like I always do, with just that brief bit of motivation, where once you understand that whatever your goal is, you can have it. We always think there's certain slices of the pie and we all have to, get a certain cut of it, but everybody can have their own pie and you can have your cake and eat it too. If you have something in mind and you want to get it, you just got to put in the work. Start with the end in mind. Know where you want to go. Be the person that you need to be. Whatever you do, believe in yourself, trust the process, and don't ever, ever, ever quit on yourself. You guys, I hope you had a fantastic time sitting here with me on episode number 83, How Do Muscles Grow? In the meantime, this is Coach Katie D, and for this week, over and out.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.